Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's. Well, you know what? Today we're doing a double doozy or maybe a triple doozy of music. It's Music Friday, New Music Friday. And today we're excited to welcome back drummer Bob Holz to the show. He was on our show about I think even over 5 years ago, with his album. It was called Visions, Coast to Coast Connection. And that featured bass legends Stanley, Clarke, and Ralphe Armstrong. And he is back today because his new album comes out September 8th through MVD Audio, and it is called Holz-Stathis. It is collaborative. Oh, I love the word collaborative. So welcome back, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's great to be back on your show, and wow, the time flew pretty quick. 5 years, huh?
Yeah, I know, and I think we were actually in Tucson still. Now we're back. We've been back on the road. Wait a minute, Nick. Now I can't even.
I'm not sure.
I think we were in Tucson on our little break from our, nonstop park travels. And now we're on the road again, and we have been for
3 years.
When was the pandemic? Like, it kind of escaped me.
Before that.
Yeah, your album came out before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, when I talked to you, it was 2018. Winter of 2018.
Oh. Yeah, wow. And I think right after that, we went back on the road. Yeah. And we've been, 2018, we were back on the road again. So it must have been really close to when we left. I think we left in the summer of 2018 back on the road. And wow, that makes us younger.
Wow.
It makes us younger. I think it was 2018.
And not tired at all.
Yeah, 2018 or 19. I don't know. But anyway, welcome back. Where are you right now? Where are you today?
I'm in New York State, kind of near Ithaca.
Ooh,
which is a town in upstate New York, where Cornell University is. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
We went through upstate New York last year this time. We were in Connecticut, and then we went through Seneca Falls area near Corning and that area. It's beautiful. Beautiful. We got scared because I almost got us to New York City, and we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves if we drove right in, not being prepared. We got scared. But how many people think that New York City is New York? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't realize it's a big state, and there's a lot of other parts of the state that are so different than the city. And yeah.
Yeah. So this album, Collaborative, so this was you and also your producer, Rob, right? That I know you've got some covers on there, but wrote this together, right? And put this together.
We put it together. Yeah, we both co-produced it, and it took 4 years to make this record.
It's an awesome album. God, the quality is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So 4 years. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. Now you've got how many people? This is you've got like your own orchestra going on. And I look at all the names: John Mclaughlin, Darryl Jones, Brecker, Elliott Yamin. I remember Elliott from American Idol. I was going to say America's Most Wanted. I don't think he wants me to say that. But you've got a host of people on this. How many people worked on this?
I think close to 21 or 22 people.
Wow.
Musicians, that is. Yeah.
Is that another reason why you called it collaborative?
Well, no. Actually, since I talked to you guys, I put 2 more albums out that I had one come out called Silverthorn in 2019, and then in 2021, during the pandemic, I put out a live album called Bob Holz Live in New York and LA. And so Rob Stathis, who's been the executive producer on most of my releases, we wanted to do something, with some vocals on some of the tunes. And so that's a little difference over some of the last ones. And we started actually tracking fall of 20. It was 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in November, and then COVID hit, so it put a 2-year delay into the whole project. So that's kind of why the timeline has been a little different for this one. but yeah, a lot of people involved, and Rob actually, did some vocal work on this album as well, beyond just production.
Well, I want people to know it comes out September 8th. It'll be out, and you can go to bobholzband.com, and that's HOLZ. And you've got all kinds, we'll have all the links up in the show notes from the podcast. So if you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening, the links will be there where you can pre-order it and get that. And it is an amazing album. And like I was saying, the quality is it's phenomenal. Like, to me, it's so important when you have just such clear sound, but it's got depth and not too, it's just the balance is like perfect. Like, who did the balancing?
Sound engineer Dennis Moody did a very nice job on the tracking and then the mixing and mastering. And this will be the first time we're releasing a vinyl LP as well. So available too.
Oh, cool! Nice. Is that part of the pre-order package too for people to get the vinyl?
Yeah, the vinyl will be available on Black Friday. In November. Cool. Yeah, it's a double album, actually, 2 vinyl records.
Oh. Ooh. Wow. So, and I think it's so exciting to see vinyl back, and I'm hoping some of the bigger, I was going to say publishers, but, some of the bigger labels will start doing it so that the prices come down a little bit, for everyone especially for the independent musicians doing it, because vinyl, it's, I don't know. And I think we're ready for, sit down, have a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever you want and put the needle on the vinyl and go on a journey, I think it's an exciting thing. And in the holidays, it coming out on Black Friday, that's a cool time frame for people to sit back and enjoy and get your friends involved too.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to want to own both the CD and then the vinyl. A lot of folks have turntables now, and it's definitely eclipsed the sales of CDs. There's more vinyl being sold now. So that's really, yeah. And it sounds great. It's really got a nice sound to it. It's a little different. They have to master it slightly different for vinyl than they do for a CD. And
it sounds warmer somehow.
Yeah, right.
It just warmer, friendlier. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but it does.
Well, it came out great, and so that'll be something that's going to be available here at this fall.
Exciting. So, who's doing the guitar work? Because even just getting right in the beginning of the album, there's like some Santana vibe. Like you've got some, there's the smooth jazz, and then it's like, no, man, we're going on a journey. We're going on an adventure. Some of the songs take you different places, and then you have some percussion. You have that one, I think it's Alex's Dream, where it's just this beautiful percussion piece, and then it went away. And I'm like, what? No, I wanted to come back. But that's good. I love it when you have those moments where like, oh, I was loving that. So, I love that you're, including, I know you're, obviously a master drummer here, but the percussion, were you doing that percussive piece?
No, that was a guy by the name of Alex Acuna that did that. And he plays percussion on, I think, 5 tunes on the album. And so we used that Alex's Dream as kind of an intro to the next song there, World Turned Upside Down. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to set the stage nice.
Mm-hmm. The album does, I think the way the world is now, I know you said it took 4 years to put this together, but to hear this kind of music kind of makes you kind of have some hope. It has a vibe of hope and sunshine and warmth and, did you intend that?
Well, yes, the tune World Turned Upside Down, which we wrote specifically because we knew John Mclaughlin was going to play guitar on it. So it was right in the middle of the whole COVID pandemic. And if you listen to the song, it's exactly what you just said. You really described it well. It has, there's parts that are kind of melancholy, and then it's contrasted with more hopeful sounds. So, that's right.
It feels good. I like it. I mean, now I was like, we were listening. We're right now we are in the Appalachian region we're in the Smoky Mountains in the Pisgah National Forest.
So cool.
And so I was playing it, and it's just filled the house. And we're in a house that was built by a carpenter. He built the house and the furniture. So we're surrounded by wood. I always tell people everybody loves wood, right? Anyway, so like playing the album loud, I was even on the computer, and it just sounded so good in here. And I was like, it sounded so cheerful. And I was like, oh, this feels good. Like that was my immediate thing. And Nancy's listening to it upstairs too. And we're just like, oh yeah, this feels good.
Well, that says something, when someone hears something for the first time, if they react that way, it makes me feel good to hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be playing a lot of it because I think the world is still wonky, and it is a little upside down.
I think it might always be.
There's a lot of anger and drama and political unrest, and just there's a lot of caca out there. And I think music helps it a lot. But I want to turn it over to Nancy because she was like adamant to be on the show with you and had some questions there. And I'm going to make sure she gets in on the conversation of this epic album. And it is epic. I want to say that it's an epic album. And I think people who don't know jazz are going to be able to sink into it, So
we were trying to make it a little accessible to, different types of listeners.
So my first question that I've always wondered about is what is in your mind when when you play a jazz tune, do you play it the same way every single time, like someone who does classical music and they have the sheet music and it's all like it's either 3/4 time or 4/4 time or whatever, and it's very precise. Now you go to jazz, right? And do you play it the same way every time?
The short answer is no. Basically, the melody and the arrangement typically will stay the same, and the chord changes. But there's sections where the solos are, and those are definitely played differently every time. So the improvisational component of jazz is something that contrasts the more written out parts, like you said, classical type stuff.
Yeah, because sometimes I think, well, okay, so especially if you're playing live and you're all doing your own kind of thing in a way, then one person goes and plays something that doesn't quite work. What happens then?
Well, they always said it, if somebody makes a mistake, it's the next note played that can save it. So,
Cool.
We try and support each other. If something, sometimes a mistake can turn out to be a really interesting, beginning of something different. So the spontaneity, in jazz, creating something on the spot is really interesting. And, it seems like, the better the players, the more they're able to pull something out of what we might consider a mistake and develop it into something really good.
Well, because there's those times when you hit a wrong note, but you can resolve it by going, let me just go up a half step, and make it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So when you're playing, like you have all these different people, how was this put together? I mean, was it all done, electronically and then putting it together? Were you guys in the same room? And then, because you have all these different people doing the different songs, did you all geek out on each other's music to hear each other's style of playing so that when there is that happy accident, that it stays happy?
Yeah. Well, making an album like this is a little bit different than recording everything live. What we did was initially we went in the studio, myself, the bass player, guitarist, and keyboard, and we put down the basic rhythm tracks, they're called, just the foundation of the music, if you will. We recorded all that. And then over time, people came in and overdubbed their solos or added the vocals. No, everyone wasn't in the room at the same time.
Wow.
Some albums
feels
are made
that way.
Most of the studio albums are there's overdubs involved, multi-track recording. But like I said, I put out a live album in 2021, which had that spontaneity you're kind of hinting at, where everybody's really interacting on stage, and things are kind of being created on the spot. But in this case, it's a studio album, so we overdubbed a lot of the solos and the vocals and some of the percussion parts afterwards.
Wow, and that's amazing to me, because I always just felt like if everyone's in the room, it'll sound better, but it's not really true. I mean, it isn't always true, and because like when you listen to the album, to me, it sounds very, like I said, balanced and rich. There. Yeah, the dynamics, it's rich. It's a rich album. It's like a really good chocolate cake with texture. Dang, now I want a glass of really good red wine.
Making me happy.
Oh, I'm thinking of Pinot Syrah, some chocolate, like, I'm thinking like Black Forest Gâteau. Why? I don't know. Maybe we're in the forest. Because then you feel beachy and calypso-y too. You could have a tropical punch, But to me, it just feels really good, and that you have texture. And I always, for some weird reason, always thought studio albums didn't have that texture, but you're proving that wrong. They do. Yeah. It's about really fine tuning it. So, I mean, how much do you have to geek out to be able to make that happen? Like really look at every note on that screen of wiggly lines. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, once the core rhythm tracks are completed, then they're given to the soloist, who has the privy to spend some time crafting the solo. And then they can do a few takes and pick out which take they like. It does allow for the soloist to, really craft something that they're happy with. So, yeah, that's
kind of cool that they have the actual track so they can really perfect it that way.
Yeah.
Whether it's a singer or even like guitar, like you could go in, and that's what I was saying. Some of the guitar parts are just phenomenal. And I love that you have vocalists on this too. Elliott's amazing. I mean, I remember him, and I was like, I always thought he was great, and it's great to hear him.
Yeah, he and we did a video. One of the tunes on the album is a Chicago tune. It's a cover of "Make Me Smile." And so a year ago, I went out to LA to Sunset Sound Recorders, and we did a video of that song. It's on YouTube, and it's got one of the bass players on the album, Darryl Jones, who plays with the Rolling Stones. He's been with the Stones for 33 years, I think, and then the other guys are all on the album as well.
Stop not name dropping, Bob. I'm just messing with you. I'm just kidding. But he's a phenomenal artist. He is. He really is. No, I'm just messing with you. But
he really, he's out there doing it now pretty steadily. He plays, he sings with Lautizer, which is a band out of Los Angeles. They do a lot of jazz festivals. So it's good to see Elliott's, really keeping busy. He's a father, him and his wife have a young kid. So he was kind of staying a little closer to home while the child was growing up. But I think now he's got a little more freedom to go out and play and sing.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up, like this, you're going out, you're connecting with people and everything. I remember the last interview we were talking about jazz, because it did, like, smooth jazz and stuff like that was kind of taking a little knocking there. And then yacht music came in between all of this, didn't it? Like, I don't know if the yacht thing was going on when we talked last time, or was it? And that's a little different though.
Funny.
It's not the same as jazz, but it feels like because you can listen to me, you could take this album and go on a boat and have a merry time listening and just being out on the water. And I'm a big believer of playing music outside. And so that the music can commune with nature, and it's got to be the right kind of music. It's got to be the right music when I'm talking about like for that communal thing. But if you went out on a boat, right, especially one that's just kind of floating, and you played this, I think it would be a magical experience. And I think it would go with nature very well. And I think animals and birds and everything will go, yeah, I kind of get into this. I'm going to like, move my tail feathers. Cause you got it, like I was saying, all textures and vibes and different feels, but it flows. The album flows perfectly. Having all of that put together so you could go out. I don't know, man. I'm feeling like we need to go on the water. I just don't want to go on a boat, You've got a good vibe. Yeah, but the jazz thing is in it. That's the thing. I feel like it's coming back in beautiful ways, and this is one of it. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you said all that. For instance, one song on there, Island Sun Love. I was kind of trying to do exactly what you just said. Trying to put a soundscape that would really be nice, by the water or out on a boat. We were thinking that way, and wow, I'm glad you said that because sounds like we may have achieved the goal.
Yeah,
you could put animal, like I'd like to take animal shots, nature shots, and put them to music.
Yeah,
because it bridges a gap and it makes people feel, I hope, closer to nature, so they're not always so scared and they won't ruin nature. Like when they go out, they pick up their trash and stuff. Just say it. Yeah. Just say it. Please pick up after yourselves when you go into nature. But I think music is a huge part of nature. And we kind of sort of separate it, like music is for humans and it has nothing to do with nature, but I think it's close.
I would agree to that. Yes, very much so. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. So I'd like to take like a song like your songs and put nature photos to them. I think
make a nice
really cool.
Yeah. Like a backdrop to the photos. I know.
Well, I think that your music, like the first thing that came to mind to me when I started playing was like, this needs to be in movies. And, because it has that flow and because it allows you to create stuff in your mind, which is great. I think we need that. So you can go on a mental vacation, soulful vacation when you're listening to it and go, ooh, I'm in this happy place. That's why I said it just feels good. You're always like, oh, I dig this, Would you allow music from this to be in movies? They
have these licensings that folks do. Yeah, I would. I think it would be really great. It's like you said, the music can conjure up some imagery in the listener's mind, and if you can align it with what, is being presented in the film or video, that can be pretty powerful.
Now, okay, you've got that out. I know listeners are going, okay, he's a drummer. How is he writing an album? So tell everybody about that process of writing the music.
Yeah.
And also lyrics too.
They seem to come pretty easy for me on the way I've written tunes. My partner on the album is Bill Steinway. He's a piano player in Los Angeles, and he's been involved in all my albums. And the way we write together is I'll come up with a drum groove, and then from that drum groove, I'll come up with an arrangement that I would like, the style of the music, and then I'll record the melody remotely here in New York, and then he'll put the chords to it, and then we kind of come up with a first draft, if you will, of the the composition. And then over time, we just kind of fine tune it together, and it takes a little time, but it's a very collaborative way to do things. And, we've come up with some interesting kind of songs doing it that way. On this album, there's a few tunes on there that I didn't write. Of course, the Chicago tune I had nothing to do with. And
Right.
the guitar player that's on most of the tracks is a fellow from San Diego by the name of Dean Brown, who's been around a long time. He wrote two songs by himself on the album, and then he co-wrote one song with me. So this album has a few different angles it's coming at from compositionally.
Oh, that's cool, man. I mean, that's interesting that it starts with a drum beat. I mean, I don't think that happens very much, does it, in songwriting?
It's tribal. It's tribal.
It's like, here's the vibe. So you're setting the vibe by that.
That's what we were trying to do, yeah. Kind of lay the groundwork.
Yeah.
Huh. So when you're writing, like, how does that, I mean, so you record it, obviously, right? Or you're not, I mean, are you writing notes for that? Or are you recording the here's my drum part? Now let's move from there. So,
I've used a drum machine in many cases just to come up with it, and then that drum machine can be utilized as a kind of a click track in the recording session to play along with it. And of course, you don't use the drum machine in the final mix. Yeah. You're playing along with it, and you just keep the actual acoustic drums. Yeah, that's one way that's common now.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it's when you think about it.
Oh, hey, it's a time saver.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing. We just did a panel discussion on artificial intelligence, and we had two musicians on there, and we were talking about it, and someone was like saying, no, it's a tool, because there's this weird thing that happens with AI that here it's going to spit out music, but it's like over perfect. It's lost the soul of the song or art piece, because it's over, it's coloring within the lines basically. But these tools, like when you're talking about drum machines, it's like a great tool to be able to use to get to the final goal, right?
Yeah, I'll give you a little history. I mean, back, like you mentioned, the yacht rock period, back in the 70s and all, and even before that, when an album was made, they used a click track, which is basically a metronome, and everybody hears that in their headphones and play to it, right? And then when things went from analog to digital recording, back around 1987 is when it started to take off. Okay. There was, software packages started to be put together to record music digitally. And the one that is probably the most well-known is called Pro Tools. Which is kind of, one of the main standard of the industry recording software packages. So with Pro Tools, because everything's on a grid, so recording to a click track or a drum machine makes it a lot easier if there's any editing that needs to be done or anything like that. Most people are recording to clicks or drum machines, that's nothing new. And and then once, you have the drums, bass, keyboards, and rhythm guitar down on this grid, if you will. And it's all, done to a click or a drum machine. Then you have a really accurate foundation for the other musicians to layer, their other parts on.
Yeah. Wow. So, but doing this clicking, right, and having that machine, like, to me, that would scare the heck out of me, just as a singer, because I'd be like, oh, I'm so used to a drummer being able to like bend and stuff, and then this would make me have to like be on my toes and be with it. You know what I mean?
You
You
have
know
to
what I'm
keep
talking about?
time, you mean.
I mean, like you know how to do it, but like, do other musicians kind of look at you like, you know? But then you're dealing with musicians that are at the top caliber, you know? But like, I'm just saying that kind of
Yeah.
like you got to stay thing is like a scary thing to me. It's like, holy cow, it's
It's
gonna
really
make me
not
stay
as
on
hard as
time.
one might think, you know. It's
Once you're
you know,
once you're in the rhythm, you kind of stick there until something jolts you out of it.
Yeah,
You know,
but still,
you get in the rhythm. I mean, that's what rhythm's all about.
yeah. I
You know,
mean,
just
when we go to record, everybody has a chart in front of them with the music written out with the arrangement, and you know, and then the sound engineer will turn on the click. Sometimes it's just maybe a little percussion loop, you know, maybe some
hmm
shakers with a cowbell or something, just to make it a little more interesting to play to. And then, you know, we just that goes off in the headphones first, and then we count it in, and we just play the chart down as it's written, the music, just like any other type of you know, format. But so, and then you've just got that click going along with you, so that you know everybody's playing extremely accurate. No one's slowing down or speeding up. It's not always the way it's done. You know, the album that you know you and I talked about before was done without a click. That Vision's Coast to Coast Connection.
yeah,
So I've
okay,
done a couple without using clicks, and then the others, you know, with. It's just a different feel. But you know, for a sound engineer, it makes it a whole lot easier. His job to have everything done, cut to a click in the post production phase. You know, if he's got to go in and you know work on something and edit it, it's just much easier if everyone was you know on the grid at the same spot.
yeah, that
I
makes
get it.
sense.
We get that from the production standpoint of the
Yeah,
stuff that we do. I mean, we have
Yeah,
to do it with sound waves and podcasts and
a lot
video
of
and all that too.
parallels, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
it's like, dang it. And there's just that 1 inch. And you're like, come on, man. You
Come
know,
on, get
and
your
people
act
just go,
together.
oh no, you could just edit this. And I look at them going,
Like,
you can edit this yourself.
Well, a lot of you know albums are made differently now because back in the day when you had big recording companies, record labels that would get an artist and you know they just had a huge budget to go into a studio as long as they wanted to, months on end, to make a perfect album like some of the yacht rock records, super high budget. Now it's different. Now you go into the studio, you record, you know, maybe it's 3-4 takes of the song, and then everything else is taken care of on the back end. So you want to play it well. But
Yeah.
if there's it's not like you do it a million times until you find the one magic track, like they used to do, you know. They could spend a month on one song. It's just financially not feasible anymore for artists. So, you know, basically you're going in, maybe recording it 3 or 4 times, you know, depending on the budget, of course. And then if there's anything that needs to be worked on with Pro Tools, you have the opportunity to do a lot of different editing.
Wow. Well, you've given us a class today. Thank you.
It's nothing new. It's been going on like that for, you know, since the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's interesting for us as listeners to understand how much goes behind an album. You know, we just listen to it in the car, yeah, you know.
Some of the new stuff that's coming out now is there's a program called Dolby Atmosphere. It's called or Atmos. It's a surround sound type of thing.
Yeah, we did an interview about that actually. We were in a cinema, the Galaxy Theater in Tulare, California, outside Sequoia National Park. And we cover that area all the time. And we were on our way up there. It was about a year and a half ago, going up and went to go hang out with the giant sequoia trees and everything. And, you know, we love that area. And Tulare, I mean, these are all agricultural communities in the foothills of where you can go see these giant wonders. The world's largest tree and largest entity, I think, by volume.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we're out there and we go to the Galaxy Theater, and we've been there a couple times. And the first time they had a thing where you go and sit in the seat and it shakes you around a little bit and the sound's loud and good. And you're like,
so
ooh,
funny.
a little bit of vibration in the seat ain't bad. This is kind of fun. It's like a massage chair. This is good.
Mhm.
And we watched a race car movie, I remember, and it was like moving us around.
Mhm.
We're like, ooh, all right, this feels kind of fun. Well, now
Yep.
that's exactly what you're talking about, that Dolby Atmos thing. And that's what they were talking about, how movies and sound have to go hand in hand and the furniture has to go with it. So the chairs, you're hearing it and feeling it, not just
Mhm.
hearing it, right? And so they're not jerking you around as much, which was fun, but it is, like if a race car driver gets out, you hear the zipper move of his jacket kind of thing.
Wow.
And yet you're going to feel it like you're in it. So they're basically, with this sound, this Atmos thing, it's about sound being completely the surround sound you're saying, but you're feeling it as a viewer and listener. And so they're pushing it all that way, because if you record it that way, as I believe and remember, then like if you're working with that and recording that way, you've got, like you were saying, that you've got to record for like streaming, for CD and vinyl. I think if you record it in that way, then they can say, oh, we want this in the movie, and it's ready. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
so I think it's going that way, and it's the surround sound thing is because
It's
people
awesome.
also, you've got to think everyone in homes, we travel the country, and since COVID, we started pet sitting. It's not a money thing, everyone, just it's through trusted house sitters. If you have dogs, cats, donkeys, tortoises, guinea pigs, bunnies, check it out, trustedhousesitters.com. It's very cool. So we get to be in, like, where we are up in the Appalachian Mountains. We hang out with dogs and go walking in the forest and all this cool stuff. They're happy, they're traveling, and we're here and doing the interview with you because we have internet. And what's amazing is when you go in all these homes across America, we're seeing how people live. And that's not what we're there to do. We're not spies, but people, especially during COVID, jacked up their house to have maximum entertainment and happiness. So surround sound is in everyone's houses, pretty much, if they're music lovers or movie lovers. So I think that's the other part of that puzzle, is the surround sound needs to happen in a house. Like if you go sit down at a TV, right? They have a whole remote control just for the speakers for surround sound now. And
Yeah.
don't ask me to use it. I don't know how to do it, but I don't know how to use TVs anymore.
You feel like you're right in it. Like you could basically close your eyes and still see the movie in your mind.
But if you go to the cinema now, and like the Galaxy Theater in Tulare, you'll also feel it in the chair, where their dynamics of the chair
Well, yeah, because they
now
do shake
match
you.
the music and the sound better than what it was before. I don't know how to explain that either, but they do that.
But it's fun.
So you're having
I like
surround body vibrations too.
Yeah, it was it was fun.
It's sound vibrations. And so I find this very fascinating how we've come, because he was actually talking about it being like understanding color. If you understand color, you're going to understand sound, and vice versa. And do you guys think of that when you're recording? Are you working in color at all, like in the tools and then just in vibes?
I know, I've heard it. Musicians and other interviews mention that when they're improvising, that sometimes they think in certain colors. It's kind of neat, to try and like say, you think of the color blue. Well, what can I play? How can I play it that conjures up that imagery in the listener's mind? Yeah, something that's really unique to music, emotions and things like that can be brought using certain types of chord voicings or rhythmic patterns.
I like how you're writing, though, that it goes from the vibe, the beat, that is really, that goes like, that's foot, like it goes from your feet up. So it's got a grounding spot, you know? And then what's interesting listening, so not necessarily color, but you've got the grounding spot as a drummer. You're starting it off, you're starting all the music, right? But while you're the grounding person, you're also letting people free. And then you have to bring them back in. You can't, or sometimes you just let them like, hey, that's it. You're free now. You're hurting everybody.
Hurting?
Yeah, hurting, Herd, hurting the musicians and the band, and hurting, especially if you're live, it's the drummer hurts. The drummer and the bass player are going to hurt everybody.
It's just bringing people together.
Yeah, and then the audience too. So it's like you've got a double hurting duty.
Yes, indeed. Double hurting, yeah.
Double hurting duty.
This is a very weird conversation, isn't it?
No, I get what you're saying. It's like the drums and the bass are kind of like, keeping everybody together in the band.
The foundation.
But at the same time, the drummer and the bass player and, the piano and the rhythm guitar are doing the same thing for the listener, because if you don't have that, that foundation really solid, things just get too diluted, and people, they can't feel it, they can't tap their toe to it, they can't dance.
Exactly. You have to be able to relate to the music, and the rhythm section is always the first place that you can relate to.
Yeah,
I think so. Like the heartbeat of it.
Yeah, it is. It's the soul of the music is percussion and the beat. And then, so the soloist, whoever it might be, a guitar or a clarinet or whatever, the soloist by voice can do whatever they want to a point of they're not messing with the beat. They can go outside of it and come back to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like, ooh, okay. But the beat is there so that the people listening can still relate. And then they understand all of it. They understand the foundation because they're already feeling it. But then when you listen to the soloist, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Sometimes it goes too far and then they get lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, I didn't get that. And they have to listen to it 3 or 4 or 5 more times. And then they might get it or never. I don't know. It's personal. That's your personal hearing and what you like and what you don't like.
Yes. That's the unique thing about music. We can all kind of take what we like and leave the rest or whatever. But a couple things on this album that are different too is one tune on there, Back to You, that Elliott Yamin sings. We were trying to do something a little bit more on the modern pop side, I guess, a little hip hop blended with jazz, and that kind of goes in line with what you're saying. We just kept a very simple, danceable beat, and there's a guitar solo where he goes off flailing, and it's like you said, as long as the drums and the bass and everything are really holding it down where people can continue to dance, usually things work out pretty good. So that was one new aspect of this album. The other one is a tune that the guitar player Dean Brown wrote called Palo Vaio. It's what I would call classical jazz. So the tune uses a lot of kind of classical kind of derivatives in it that set the stage for the improvisation later. And it really kind of created an interesting vibe. It just has this nice kind of almost chamber music kind of feel, but with the jazz going on at the same time. It's not anything that's particularly new. Other artists have done it, but it was the first time for me getting involved in that. And there's a lot of flute on it, played by a guy by the name of Brandon Fields, plays some nice flute on the tune. So we tried to with this album, mix it up, keep it interesting, different time feels, some different styles. And then, of course, bringing in a cover tune with the Chicago tune, which is kind of, that song was back in the 70s. I had with a full horn section, and that came out really nice. It's just something a little bit different on the record.
Yeah, no, it is a phenomenal album. And in closing, I do have a weird question for you that popped into my head it's just why not? Because we're already on that. We're already tripping out.
Question day.
And now you made me think that yacht rock's been going around since I was a kid. So that's like a whole weird thing too. But I want to, because this is airing on our National Parks Arts Foundation Day show. We do it every first Friday, is our National Parks Arts Foundation show that we talk about parks and the arts. And you're dedicating this, and what they do is they have artist residencies in national park units and parks across the country, like Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, Chaco Canyon up in northern New Mexico, Dry Tortugas on your own island in Dry Tortugas National Park on a Loggerhead Key. So artists, musicians, songwriters, filmmakers, photographers, ceramicists, textile artists, whatever you do, take a look at this. If you go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org, they're an amazing nonprofit. And some of your pieces may end up within the National Park Service Art Archives, which is a big deal for your resume. It's huge. But it's a whole month that you get to go in a park and create. It is incredible. So it is, and if you go to the Hawaii Volcanoes one, they have a recording studio in the art house. It is a 6-bedroom house, and you can even bring your spouse or loved ones or family with you, which is really unique. Seriously, like this is the best nonprofit on the planet.
It is.
So anyway,
it's awesome.
So this show is airing September 1st, kicking off Labor Day weekend. And we're going to focus on new music today and give a shout out to the national parks. And we're talking about nature earlier. So I have this new question for our shows now that I'm going to try and see if people can deal with this. But if you're going to take your new album out, everyone, again, it is out now. Well, out September 8th. You can pre-order it, right? You say Stathis. I was saying Stathis, right? So it's Stathis? Holz-Stathis.
Yeah, Stathis is the way he pronounces it. Yep.
Okay, well, however he wants to pronounce it, it's his name. So Holz-Stathis Collaborative is out on September 8th, so you can pre-order it and then look at getting it also on vinyl on Black Friday. But if you were to take this album, right, and you know how they do those time capsules that you put things in, so like the aliens will find them 20 years later or something?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to do a time capsule. We're going to do a time travel machine because we want it to be able to go in. You want it to get in the hands of someone from the past or the future, right?
Ooh.
So the machine is in a park somewhere, anywhere. It could be a national park, state park. You could be your park around the corner from your house. What park would it be in? This time travel machine. And where do you want to go? Forwards, backwards? Like, when do you want it to, where do you want it to land? Time frame. Forward.
Oh boy.
And who do you want to get the album? Like, do you want to go backwards or forwards? Like,
wow.
This is a crazy question.
That is
a whole
crazy
new thing.
question.
No, I dig this. This is a whole new show.
Yeah.
So let's start with the
I would
park.
say forward into the future, and I really like the Hawaiian Volcanoes National Park over there on the Big Island. I've driven by it before. I've been there.
Cool.
And the third part of it, what would I want them to get out of it? Is that what you said?
Who do you want to get the album?
Who's going to find
open
it?
up the time travel machine? Do you want an alien or do you want somebody new? Like, who do you want to get your album? Like in the future?
Are you talking about Elon Musk?
No, don't.
No. I would say a young aspiring musician, someone that's interested in what happened before, what's going on today, and that has a vision for going forward. So somebody, that's just getting into music and might get something out of it.
It's going to
Awesome.
be
I love
interesting about
that.
these things with the time. So you're doing a time capsule then, really. So the
Yes.
time, it's interesting because what are you going to do? Like if you don't have CDs and vinyl, you're going to leave a digital code for Spotify. Like I was thinking about that. What are they going to do about how the arts are all digital now? How is that going to be a piece of paper with code? Put in something with a battery that'll go dead? Like how does that work?
You just look at it and your mind computes it.
Oh my
Ah,
Ooh.
You're going to leave a piece of your brain in there. That's it.
No, you just look at it and your mind goes,
Oh,
give me
you know
2
what's going to happen?
seconds.
You know what, Bob? You're going to have to leave your drumstick, and whoever picks it up is just going to lightning bolts will happen and
ah,
like
okay, the
Frankenstein.
magic sticks, yeah.
Yeah, the magic stick. Yes. And then
Yeah.
boom, they're going to have all your music downloaded in their heart, soul, and brain. And they're going to like be all lit up and, you know, yacht music will never be the same. It's going to be Bob Holz is coming through with his buddies on this magic ship because he got the magic stick. Oh, this is cool. This is fun. Go down a lava tube.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
See?
I like it.
That was a cool
Okay.
trip. What a good way to end a conversation that was already
That's
fun
funny.
and interesting. So thank you so much, Bob. It's been a real pleasure having you back on the show. We wish
That's
you all the
cool.
best. Are you working on new music before you go? That's important. We have to ask. Gonna have a CD release party?
Yes, we're playing on the 7th, the night before the release. We're playing in Hollywood at a place called the Catalina Jazz Club in Los Angeles.
Cool.
Yep, all the guys that are on the record. So that's coming up in a little over 2 weeks.
Wow, that's cool. So everybody in LA, you know where you want to go. September 7th. Check that out. Again, go to bobholzband.com, HOLZ, bobholzband.com, and pre-order. That always helps musicians, like same as authors.
Yeah.
The pre-order, right?
You can pre-order on Amazon right now.
Get it. I'm telling you, you're going to be tripped out and having fun like we are. So you're going to want to blast it loud, play it out in nature, go on a boat. Yeah, I'm on a boat. All right. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. This has been great. So nice to reconnect.
You too. Don't wait 5 years again. Okay.
No, I know. Let's make it shorter this time.
And let's not have a pandemic in between either.
Right. Yeah, really. None of that.
All right. You take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.